The divine feast is the table to which we have been invited very graciously. There is no admission. We can feast and nourish ourselves and pleasure ourselves with sustenance to allow us to participate very freely and willingly in the expansion of the divine hierarchy in the cosmos. And as the cosmos expands, so does the divine hierarchy and all those who are loyal and befriend the divine hierarchy. Though that is our legacy, we get to do that. But some decide, well, no, I really want to be nourished with something else. I want a better meal than I can get in the divine feast. And so people move away, they satiate themselves with different things. And they do that rather than to find the nourishment to enhance their calling, they are seeking nourishment to enhance themselves. That is something that is spoken about a lot. And I want to talk about it again, as we've spoken about it earlier in other meditations. The two things that are necessary, the two things that Yeshua told us are the most important. Regardless of what others said before, Yeshua is telling us something different. And what he is saying is found in the book of Revelations of John, or the revelation of Jesus Christ, in Revelations 2, verse 20. And I want to read it to you because it is the essence and substance of all that I'm doing recently. But I have this against you, that you tolerate the woman Jezebel, who calls herself a prophetess, and she teaches and leads my bondservants astray, so that they commit acts of immorality and eat things sacrificed to idols. So that is the admonition, which is directed to those who are immoral and choose to eat things that are unholy. In other words, they are sacrificed to idols, or maybe more directly it is said they eat things for their own growth and development, to pursue their own means, to chart their own course, to be in themselves gods. And that is an idolatry. And so what is happening is that it's understood, it's clear that, feeding yourself, for your own calling, for your own devices, desires, for your own lusts, is a kind of idolatry. It's a direct idolatry. The idolatry where we idolize our own personalities, and that's the only reason why we nourish ourselves, to get strength so that we can further idolize ourselves. And in that context, there's another aspect, and that is moral clarity. Moral clarity that comes to us from our wilderness experience and our connection to the divine hierarchy. And here Jezebel is saying, no, you need to do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. Jezebel is saying, there is no restriction. You can be as immoral as you want to, and it's no problem. That's what she says. And of course, she's identified as a fake prophetess. So really what is being discussed here is that having sex for your own gain, for your own lust and personal power, is a problem. It is an immorality. If you are a sexual predator, that is immoral. Whereas if you have sex, and that sex is about procreation, it's about your sharing the joy of your creation and the implicit joy of procreation. Now that's something different. To share that joy, to share that love and that intensity, that energy, that cosmic energy that flows through us in that moment, that very special moment where we freely give and we freely receive. There is no winner or loser. There is no predator prey. It is a pure transaction, a pure experience. And we should spend a lot of time meditating on that experience. But I'd like to read that text again because it's very important. But I have this against you, that you tolerate the woman Jezebel, who calls herself a prophetess, and she teaches and leads my bondservants astray, so that they may commit acts of immorality and eat things sacrificed to idols. And the other word here, the key word, is they tolerate. And what do we tolerate? We tolerate an enormous amount of perversity, immorality, and sacrilege, as we are idolaters unto ourselves and worshiping our own experience. My gosh, it's a thing which is so pervasive that almost it's become so common that we almost don't see it. And that's why these texts are important to be meditated on, because they help us refine our vision. They begin to help us clear in our own mind and our own heart what it is that we're doing and how we are connected. Are we as connected as we can be to the divine hierarchy? Do we really know our own calling? Can we understand it very clearly? You know, that's the understanding your calling is really important. So I want to give you another challenging idea, and that is the calling of Yeshua to sacrifice himself. So I think it's real clear that we have a right to defend ourselves, that we have a right to be alive. We have a right for our family to live and to be free. That is a right we have been given, and it's very clear. But there's a time when our calling tells us to do something different, and that is to not resist, to allow evil to seemingly triumph, but in fact, it is the key to its defeat. And that obedience to our calling in the face of that kind of oppression is something which will defeat the evil of this world, and it will be conquered. So I want to ask you to meditate on this, to your own calling, to the nutrient that you take in to enhance your calling. What is it that you eat? What is it that you're putting into your body? How are you nourishing yourself that you can be stronger and more energetic and intense with regards to your calling? It's an amazing thing to consider that our vital forces, our vital energies are really necessary for us to fulfill our calling, to be obedient to the connection that we have to the divine hierarchy. And in another verse, I want to finish this with something else that's a little bit long for this kind of meditation, but I want to go a couple of verses down to verse 23, and it concludes with, I will kill her children with pestilence, and all the churches will know that I am here, who searches the minds and hearts, and I will give to each one according to his deeds. So that's another aspect of that. The culture we live in is a culture of the death of children. And that's what the text says. I will kill your children. And it's a tricky way to navigate that, because it's not that the divine is killing the children. It is that we are killing our own children. And it is being allowed. It is being allowed because it must be that the oppression must be seen in its total clarity. And so that's what we're witnessing. An expression of immorality on its highest levels and the expression of the consequence of idolatry. And there we have it. And it's you need to really meditate on it. I've had to meditate on it. And I don't have it finished. I don't have a conclusion here, but it's a work in progress that I think is really valuable to do because it calls into focus the essence of our times. So again, this verse was not about defeating or conquering Jezebel as a false prophetess. It has nothing to do with Jezebel, really. She works her own will in the context of her freedom that she thinks she has to be herself. But what it has to do with the ability to discern what it is she's saying and to say no. To say no. So when Yeshua went up to the mountain, he was taken up to the mountain by Satan. He agreed to go. That's an interesting verse. Yeshua was taken up the mountain. And so he allowed himself to be taken. And he allowed himself to be taken so he could say no. No, I don't want that. I'm not going to do that. Again, there was nothing in the moment experience which was about conquering evil or conquering Satan. It was the powerlessness that Satan was left with after the encounter. And that's the issue with Jezebel, that she is left powerless if we will not eat the food sacrificed to our own personality, and that we will not engage in predatory sexuality. She's left powerless. There's nothing there. There's no place she can go but to get smaller. So all of these things are about making her bigger, and our goal is to make her smaller by not paying attention to what she says, not giving any ear to the things that she has to say. I think it's the most important meditation that I've done so far, in that it so directly relates to the moment we're in, where so much is happening that calls us into temptation from these things, whether it's celebrity or money or power or sexual desire. They are around us continuously. And we have to say no. And that concludes my meditation. Amen.